Welcome to Lawn Tips with Lou.
Hi, in my last video I demonstrated how to sharpen the blades to the rotary mower. In this episode we're going to sharpen the blades for a push reel mower doing the backlapping process. Okay, in this segment what we're going to do is sharpen the reel mower blade through the backlapping process. The backlapping process simply involves putting grinding compound along the blade on each of the blades and then spinning the blade backwards against the bed knife with the grinding compound basically grinding away, sharpening the edge of each of the blades and the bed knife. I happen to have a Fisker's push reel mower. This process is similar on other types of reel mowers, but I'll take you through the process on this. It's a fairly easy process. The whole time involved in doing it is maybe about a half hour in total. So it's fairly simple, but let's go through the process step by step. On this particular model of the Fisker's push reel mower, to adjust how close the blades are to the bed knife, there's two adjusting bolts in the back. On the left-hand side, you've got an adjusting bolt right here. On the right-hand side, it's here. Before making those adjustments, on each side of the mower, you need to loosen this bolt and this bolt so that the blade can be adjusted. Okay, the first part of the process is just simply, or at least what I do, is I set the mower on its side, and this cover is held in place by two little nuts, one here, one here. This takes a 10 millimeter socket, and we'll just remove each of those nuts. Okay, that one's loose enough to get the rest of it by hand. Take this one out. Okay, I'll get the rest of that off by hand. Okay, this little washer that I don't want to lose. Same on this side. And the cover just simply comes off. And as you can see, you've got the chain drive mechanism now exposed. And what I'm going to do is simply turn this to a point where you've got a little linking clip right here where I'm going to take a screwdriver, separate that so that I can take the chain apart. It's a good thing to do this once in a while anyway, because as you can see, the chain's a little dirty, so we can clean and lubricate the chain while we go through this process. So we will separate the chain, see if we can get this. One thing we don't want to do is lose this piece. Okay, one side is off. Get the other side off. Okay. All right, so that separates. Then you have two little pieces that come off from this side. And then you push that through. You have a linking piece that we'll just go ahead and leave that in there. And then the chain can simply be removed at this point. and we can clean and lubricate it while we have it off. Okay, with the chain off, the next part of the process, we just simply stand the mower back up in the upright position. And let me move over here. And then what I'm going to do is, just simply for ease of access, I'm going to raise the mower height to its highest setting. Okay. Now we're in a position that we can go ahead and simply start applying the grinding compound to each of the blades. And grinding compound's fairly easy to find. I just found a package at a auto supply store. It's got two grades. It's got a coarse grade and a finer grade. So we're going to backlap twice. First time with the coarse grade compound, and the second time with the fine grade. What I like to do is simply take the valve grinding compound. I do this with a toothbrush, but it can be done with just a small paintbrush or something like that as well. But I just apply it right along the edge of each blade. And we'll go through this process. I've got 5 blades that we're going to do this to. And I'll make sure I get a little bit of the grinding compound all the way across each blade. I hope the lighting is well enough, because it may be a little dark to see. Let me maybe turn this just slightly so that you get a little bit more light. Then I'll go flip this back and we'll start with the next blade. And as I say, we're going to do this process of putting the grinding compound on each blade. Here, let me just flip it. You see, as it starts, you can hear the grinding compound as it hits the bed knife, it starts to grind. Okay, so I'm going to shut this camera off for just a second while I finish applying this to each of the blades. All right, now that I have the grinding compound on all 5 of the blades, now we're going to go through and do the actual backlapping process. The backlapping is basically where we're going to spin the blades backwards, where the turning blades and the bed knife grind up against each other in a backwards motion, which essentially sharpens the blades with the grinding compound in place. Now what I'm going to do is take my drill, and I've got an old socket that I've got. This is a, let's see, a 1 1/4 inch socket that will fit on the sprocket from where the chain fits. You can simply put that on there, and then we want to make sure it's spinning in a reverse direction. We don't want the brake blades spinning forward. We want to make sure they're going backwards. You know, and that backwards, thus the term backlapping. And you can hear the blades grinding, and as they spin, it's basically sharpening both the blades and the bed knife. And we'll just let that spin for a while. finished applying the finer grade of the grinding compound on the blades. As you can kind of see, it looks greasy, but it's not grease. It's a grinding compound. And again, what I'm going to do is I will put this right on the chain sprocket, and again, we're going to spin the blade backwards. And we'll continue doing this until the grinding sound is pretty much diminished. Okay, now that the backlapping is finished, I'm going to take a few minutes and take a rag and just kind of clean the grinding compound off of the blades and the bed knife. If you go in and look, you can actually see on the blade where the grinding compound has ground against the blade. And that's the process on how it's sharpened. One of the things I want to show you, the reason you spin the blade backwards in the backlapping process is because if you spun it forward, and at this point I've got the valve grinding compound off, but if you spin it forward, the blades just barely touch right here. And if you spin it forward with the grinding compound on there, it's actually going to dull the front side of the blade. It's almost like running sand through there, and the two contact points between the blades, you'd actually round it off, and that would be dulling the blade. So that's why you spin it backwards, and thus the backlapping term for the process. You spin it backwards so that the cutting edges are not hitting each other with the grinding compound in place, which would just basically round off the cutting edge on the both the bed knife and on the spinning blades. When you go through this process, you backlap. You spin the blade backwards. You do not run it forwards with the grinding compound on the blades. The next step that we're going to go through is see if the blade needs adjusting. And to do that, we take a sheet of paper, when we place it in here, and we rotate the blades to see if it cuts the paper. Okay, now as I go through this, you can see that after doing the backlapping, you can see it's just kind of barely cutting. So I do need to adjust it a little bit. It should clip off at each space. So I need to make a quick adjustment. That right there, it was good, but it needs to be better than that. So part of the backlapping process, it does grind away some of the metal. So after backlapping, you generally need to adjust the blades to make sure that it cuts the paper properly. To adjust the blade, on the Fisker's reel mower, you've got two screws. You've got this one and this one that need to be loosened in order to adjust the distance between the blade and the bed knife. This doesn't make the adjustment, it just loosens it up so that it can be adjusted. Okay, with these two now loosened, the actual adjustment is made right here. And this is a 11 millimeter, I believe. And yes, so we want to let me adjust this because I need to make sure that that's tightened. It doesn't turn much, just turns very, very little to make the adjustment. I've done it just a hair, So now let's check the bed knife. Okay, still turning, not making contact, which it's not supposed to. But now we'll check again to see if that slight adjustment has helped with cutting the paper. Okay, needs to be adjusted a little bit more. All right, I've finished adjusting, and as you can see, it's cutting the paper quite regularly now because it's scattered all over. So let me clean that up and tighten everything back up to where it is, put the chain back on and the chain cover, and we should be finished. Okay, I've lubricated and cleaned the chain. So now we're going to put it back on. So we'll see if we can get this together. All right. And now this little piece, let's see, get it in the right spot. Okay. That goes on. And then we have a little clip that holds everything together. So we'll just slide that in place. And we are back together, except for putting on the cover, which it simply fits over, and we just need to get the screws lined up in the proper spot and screw those in, and we are done. Okay, everything's tightened down, cover's back in place, blade is sharp, and again, pushes nice and quietly because the way this particular reel mower is designed, you know, the blades come close to touching. They don't actually touch, but it's just close enough that you put the paper in between the blades, it clips off the paper. Thanks for watching Lawn Tips with Lou. Hopefully this demonstration on backlapping to sharpen the reel mower blades was helpful and informative. As I say, there are various manufacturers of push reel mowers, and they're all going to be done a little bit differently. Some, as you backlap and you rotate the blades backwards, I did it on the right-hand side of my mower. Other brands, it's going to be on the left-hand side. Adjusting how close the blades are to the bed knife. They may adjust a little bit differently from one make or even model of push mower from another. But the process is all similar. And the backlapping is a very effective way for sharpening the blades on a routine basis. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.